Hello, just thought I'd give a quick update on what I think's going to be happening in the next few days and weeks. Don't mind the indicator, it's just something I'm trying to finish off at the moment. Basically, good pump the other day. Looks like we're going into another horizontal consolidation. It doesn't look as bad as the one we were in a few days ago yet. Still a bit of movement in it. Got a nice little trade going at the moment, which will probably stop if it breaks below the mid band of the Bollinger's here. But yeah, look, good move. Probably not as big as I would like to see if I was going to be confident we were heading to, the 31 and a half plus. And I'll show you why. Now, just when you are looking at moves like this, good indicator here was the stop hunt down the bottom. Zoom in on that. Sorry, it's been a bit slow at the moment. It's a bit weird. Yeah, good little stop hunt just here before it took off, basically. And that was obviously on expanding Bollinger's as well, expanded Bollinger's. What I like to look for after a big move is basically when the Bollinger Bands start to contract, and I've got this indicator set up so that it tells me that with a red line in the middle, the mid band, and also the colouring in the background of the Bollinger's here is just the Bollinger Band with percent off volatility. So when that gets into the blue area, you know that volatility is back to almost nothing. So generally a good time to take profit if you're still in. Yeah, looks like the range has been set pretty similar to the width of the Bollinger Bands at the moment, actually. It's, if we go, we started on that wick high and come through the wick low here. So that's probably going to be your range, 30,602, 29,641. If we break below that 29,641, then the 800 EMA is your next target on 15-minute, which is just below 29,000. That'll be an interesting spot. If we go further than that, actually it's probably going to be a bit higher than that, to be honest. It'll probably come into this level here. That's probably going to be the spot that the 800 EMA will be at. Is somewhere in this zone here. And again, I'd expect another little pause before it decides which way it's going next. Generally though, just want to keep an eye out for breakouts of the Bollingers here, really. You could probably trade bottom to top for a little while, but just be careful because the breakout's probably going to happen reasonably quickly. As you can see here, it sort of happened within a 2-hour period. I think that was when I was asleep one night. Yeah, it was right in the middle of the bloody night. So yeah, I'll go to longer time frames. So monthly, looking pretty solid, really. Depending on where you want to draw your trend line, we're way beyond wherever you want to draw that trend line. In fact, to be honest with you, the breakout probably happened back here when we hit the lows. When we hit the low, that was the retest of that trend line breakout. It was really on the money, actually. The fact that we got a blue signal here tends to mean we are going up further, but I wouldn't pay too much attention to that on the monthly. The reason why I don't think we'll get much past about 34,000 is this vector here is the last one on the weekly until we jump up sort of into the 50s again. Now, I'm going to be watching pretty closely the Bitcoin longs. We did get a drop here, right down to the 50. That's amazing. That was some profit taking by some of the guys that would have been in these longs over here. I would expect if we do have another decent leg up, which it looks more likely than not at this stage with all the other indicators and everyone else that I've been watching, what they're thinking. The Bollinger Bands have only just started expanding on this as well, but not that that matters too much. But I would expect this to drop more if we go on another leg up. Just I'd be expecting some of these guys to be taking profits. They've been underwater for a long time, these traders. A lot of this was in around so, you know, these guys started getting in around the 31,000, 32,000 mark. A lot of these guys were a lot higher than that. So even up to sort of 46,000. There was a bit of selling there, but they started accumulating again from 39,000. So just on that basis, we could end up getting up to that high 30s. And there is some other zones around the high 30s as well. But if I start to see this drop, then that's when I'm basically selling up and taking some big shorts or just putting everything back into cash. Go back to this. So weekly, haven't even really started expanding yet on this particular indicator on the weekly. It's getting pretty close. Top side of this is 31.5. That kind of aligns with a lot of other things that I've been looking at, but nothing to say that we can't really just tap in and clean up this this vector candle here. And the other reason I'm saying that is that that was a level of fair bit of action, fair bit of bouncing and trading action over here. So don't be surprised if we get into that. At the moment, we've just started tapping into the bottom of these wicks here, and the top of these wicks. So even just the top of those candles. So look, weekly, expecting a bit more upside. There's no reason to believe otherwise at this stage. So daily, again, that's actually it's a little concerning. Stopping volume candle hasn't followed through. Today's candle is going to be pretty important, I think. This was all on pretty low volume too, this last pump, so that's concerned me from the start. But in saying that, I don't. Yes, you can give reasons as to why this would be an area to stop. Right, in the middle of this, we sit in here for a little while and trade in the zone, but at the same time, there's a wick just above here that would make sense for it to go into. It doesn't have to. It's already, I guess, by the principles that are set out in this system, it's kind of already recovered 50% of that candle, so it doesn't necessarily have to reclaim the whole thing. But at the same time, there's a lot of other action around here. I'd be expecting once we get up in here, they'd start attracting a lot more sellers. So market maker, I would expect to be trying to push it a little bit higher first. At the moment, they'll be catching people in shorts potentially. I'll show another reason why I think that might be the case in a second. Not many shorts on Bitfinex at the moment. Not many at all. So just go into the hourly. So I mean, that was the news overnight with the CPI print. A lot of vectors left above here, so there's a lot of sell pressure up around this point, 3,500, 30,500. I would expect it to come back up to that before we drop, if we were to drop. I wouldn't really expect it to come up there and then just keep going. I'd expect a bit of a retrace once we recover these wicks here. There is another wick down here, even on the shorter time frames as well, and some of the longer ones. So that's probably going to be the bottom of your range at this point in time. Yeah, that's pretty much all it is. It's going to be a range trade until we get a breakout either direction. It might be news based. This move was off pretty low volatility, but volatility is not really super duper high or anything either. Still keeping pretty low on the hourly. So that's about it, really. Wouldn't get too excited unless we see a breakout of the Bollingers, really. And even then, what we normally see in the horizontal movement is breakout and a retrace. Like, it's basically just a stop hunt. So be on the lookout for stop hunts. Be on the lookout if it does break out either direction. Keep an eye on the 50 EMA. The 50 EMA tends to be the one it bounces off. Acts as a bit of a level of support. Again, there was a little stop hunt in here before it took off again, but that was a great little area for the true pump up. Unfortunately, it happened about midnight my time. That's about it, really. Key zone for breaking below would be about that 29,650. If we get to the 28,900, or if we get to that 29 grand roughly, that EMA is going to probably act as support for a little bit. Good take profit level if you're in a short. And then we'll just have to watch which way it goes from there. But just one thing to look out for with Bitcoin and moves down, tends not to actually have this kind of retrace and retest of a level or anything like that. It's actually pretty rare. If you see here, like most of these drops to the downside happen after a bit of a pump up, and then it just drops. Bit of a pump up, and then it drops. That one's a bit slower, but bit of a pump up, drops. There is no sort of retrace of a level, retest of a level, or anything like that. So be a bit careful. Have good stop losses in place, good protection, and yeah, hopefully we get a bit more, and then we can all take some profits and get ready for the drop. Cheers.